So to get some deeper context on this, we're partnering with the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. They have students at the Arizona-Mexico border. So I want to bring in student reporter Andrea Villalobos, who has been at the Kino Border Initiative shelter where migrants are waiting to seek asylum. Andrea, I know that you have been talking to migrants at the border. What have you been hearing? What did they tell you about this?
You know, there is a feeling of hope in the air, but many of these migrants have been here for as long as 2 years, so there is a general feeling of frustration among many of them.
Yeah. What is a story that you've been told that sticks out to you?
You know, there was one woman who had, mentioned to me that she had really hoped that when she crosses the border, all she wants is a house, and it doesn't have to be a mansion. She just wants a house with 2 rooms for her kids to be, she was crying. She just wants her kids to be safe, and that just really, really touched my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I do wonder, when May 23rd hits, do we know what the plan is for those migrants who are already there, or what's their understanding of what could happen on that day?
You know, the thing is that for many of them, they don't really have a plan. They are just hopeful for the thought of potentially coming across the border. And, they're not really making plans because they are just hopeful that this will be lifted soon and that there is, of course, that feeling of hope in the air.
Yeah. And have any of them spoken to you about differences at the border now that we know that this is going to be lifted versus before when it was still very much comfortably in place?
There hasn't been a lot of differences here, just there has been a lot of people coming into the shelters, and those shelters are welcoming them with open arms. They're very much prepared for, that influx of migrants. And across the border on the Nogales side of things in Arizona, we spoke to Mayor Garino on that side, and he was letting us know that, they're not exactly expecting an influx, but they are ready for that.
Yeah. And what do we know exactly about how border officials are preparing for the end of Title 42? Do we have any understanding of that?
We have reached out to CBP, but we haven't quite heard anything yet. But again, these shelters are willing and able to accommodate as many people as they can.
All right, Andrea, stay safe out there. Thank you so much for taking the time. You did a fantastic job. We appreciate your coverage so much.
Los espacios son importantes y más aún cuando brindan la oportunidad de aprender y mejorar la salud. Hoy los llevamos a conocer una granja en el sur de Phoenix que es un espacio de oportunidad. A las 9 de la mañana comienzan a mezclar la tierra con el agua, un ritual que refleja su conexión con la Madre Tierra.
Nosotros somos seres energéticos, seres espirituales, ¿ok? Que tenemos conexión uno con otros, nomás que hemos perdido esa esencia.
Y después, manos a la obra.
Cuando empecemos.
Blanca Abarca enseña la importancia de cultivar y consumir alimentos orgánicos, pero también de la unión entre las comunidades.
Aquí todo se integra y todos aprendemos de todo. Este lugar hay asiáticos, hay afroamericanos, hay centroamericanos, hay de muchas partes del mundo.
En Phoenix existen 43 espacios con acceso limitado a comida saludable, lo que se conoce como desiertos alimentarios. Para suplir las necesidades de la comunidad, en 2015 surge Spaces of Opportunity, granja urbana de 19 acres que trabaja con diferentes organizaciones, entre ellas Unlimited Potential.
Los productos que aquí cultivamos son productos 100% orgánicos.
La misión de Spaces of Opportunity es permitir que las familias tengan acceso económico a alimentos saludables.
En terrenos como este se cultivan vegetales como lechugas, plantas medicinales y nopales como este, que para miembros de esta comunidad tienen un significado especial.
Forma parte de nuestros ancestros. Es una planta resistente a los cambios climáticos que estamos viviendo. Resisten sequías, resisten inundaciones.
Para esta señora es importante que las familias aprendan a ser autosuficientes.
Pues me gustaría que ellos vinieran para que conocieran más cosas que prácticamente casi estamos olvidándonos de cómo producir, cómo sembrar, cómo hacer crecer las hortalizas, legumbres, plantas frutales.
La granja está abierta a todas las personas, incluyendo los niños quienes aprenden y se divierten. No es necesario tener ningún conocimiento de agricultura.
Y voy a cerrar este círculo.
Al final de la clase, los participantes hacen un círculo en el mismo lugar donde iniciaron y dan las gracias a la Madre Tierra por proveer de alimentos.
Y si nosotros volvemos a reencontrarnos con nuestras raíces, con nuestros ancestros, el ser humano mejora. Y eso es lo que necesitamos, paz.
Los agricultores pueden vender sus cultivos en un mercado organizado por Spaces of Opportunity todos los sábados por la mañana. Spaces of Opportunity está ubicado en el 1200 oeste de Vineyard Road en Phoenix. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, the western city of Lviv is experiencing some of its first casualties from the ongoing conflict. A Russian missile attack killed 7 civilians in the city yesterday. Russia's new offensive has also included attacks in the east. The country is now focusing its attacks in the Donbas region. Yesterday in Kharkiv, 2 people were killed after shells hit a playground. Today in Mariupol, a Russian bomb hit a hospital that was treating wounded Ukrainian soldiers. 300 people, including children, were trapped underneath the wreckage after the blast. Good evening, Arizona. We are definitely seeing some higher wind speeds tomorrow. You can see in Flagstaff will be about 19 miles an hour and 20 in Tucson around 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. And coming into Thursday afternoon, about 22 miles an hour in Flagstaff and 20 in Tucson. You can also see that reflected on this map here as that low pressure system comes up, passes us by, but it will definitely affect those temperatures in San Francisco and Los Angeles as that tail end comes in, of course, followed by a high pressure system. But you can see those temperatures reflected here. We can see that San Francisco will be at about 59 degrees, Los Angeles at about 69. Unfortunately for us, our temperatures are a little bit spicier. We're looking at about 94 degrees, so definitely not looking at those 60s like they have in California. But if you are heading on a run, definitely make sure tomorrow morning you head out around 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. is when those conditions will be way better for you to go out and get that exercise. But 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is when it will get a lot warmer out there, so definitely be careful if you're heading out around that time. Looking at our 8-day forecast, you can see again tomorrow we will have some cloud coverage with that 94-degree high, but coming into that weekend, Saturday and Sunday will be about 95 degrees, and that actually is going to be continuing throughout the rest of the week. We do have some cloud coverage over the weekend, but we are still staying in those mid-90s. In the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Andrea Villalobos. Autoridades de salud anunciaron los planes de producir la píldora contra el COVID-19. Más de 30 compañías esperan comenzar la producción de versiones genéricas de la píldora de Pfizer. Estas compañías incluyen fabricantes de medicamentos en Asia, el Caribe, Oriente Medio y Europa. Debido a los nuevos acuerdos, las empresas en todos países podrán comenzar a hacer cualquiera de los ingredientes que entran en la píldora o incluso la propia píldora. La esperanza es que esta píldora ayude a los países más pobres. Las compañías esperan estar listas para su aprobación a finales de este año. High winds and wildfires are always a dangerous combination, and we've got a little bit of both here today in Arizona. Nick Shesky is here to tell us what this means for fire conditions across the state. Title 42 was invoked by former President Donald Trump 2 years ago. President Joe Biden is set to end its use on May 23rd. After that date, migrants and refugees who are caught by Border Patrol agents will again be eligible to apply for political asylum.
These migrants fled from southern Mexico to seek asylum in the United States. For their safety, they do not want to be fully identified, and we respect their privacy.
I was threatened, I was beaten. They put guns to my head.
She says she experienced the civil unrest firsthand before coming to the Kino Border Initiative.
I'm scared. I'm afraid the cartels could find me. They're all the same and they always find a way to look for us, and I'm afraid to be here.
Rosario has a similar story.
It makes me sad that my children aren't truly safe and don't have stability.
Migrants like them arrive here every day to seek refuge at the Kino Border Initiative in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico.
So our shelter right now is open to 80, it's capacitated for 80 people to be housed here.
Here they can receive hot meals, clothing, medical attention, mental health resources, spiritual guidance, and more.
We still are living in a pandemic, so we are taking these public health measures to make sure that everyone is safe. So we're not open to our full capacity.
Some migrants have been waiting for nearly 2 years, and some say they are frustrated.
I want them to see that there are many lives, many generations, many dead children at the border.
But they are hopeful for what they may find across the border if their status is approved.
Mi sueño sería tener como una pequeña casita donde mis...
My dream would be to have a little house where my children could be calm, away from all that crime. I don't want a big mansion for me. With 2 rooms, I'd be just fine.
At the time, there's a lawsuit raised in part by Attorney General Mark Brnovich. Title 42 is set to expire May 23rd, and the fate of these migrants will be decided at that time. In Nogales, Sonora, Mexico, Andrea Villalobos, Cronkite News.